You have almost certainly never bought anything from this company. And yet, its work sits inside your phone's camera, inside the machine that scanned you at the hospital, and inside the tools that print nearly every computer chip on Earth. It has quietly done this for more than 175 years. And it all began the day one workshop owner admitted that his craftsman had hit a wall. This is the story of Zeiss. Here is the pattern worth learning. Call it theory before handwork. When your very best craftsmen have reached the limit of what raw skill alone can do, the answer is not to go and hire even better hands. It is to go and buy the science. To understand the problem so deeply that you can predict the answer on paper, instead of slowly grinding your way toward it by trial and error. So travel back to the 1860s in a small German town. A respected workshop there made microscopes and made them very well. But every good instrument was born the same painful way, by grinding a lens, testing it, grinding it again, and guessing over and over and over. Nobody actually understood why one lens came out sharp and another came out blurry, and that meant progress had quietly slammed into a ceiling. So the workshop's owner did something almost no craftsman of his era would ever have dreamed of. Instead of hiring more skilled grinders, he hired a young university physicist, and he asked him a very strange question. Could you explain the microscope with pure mathematics and predict, before we ever cut a single piece of glass, exactly how it will perform? For years, it did not work. The theory was brutally, punishingly hard. But eventually, the physicist cracked something profound. He worked out the fundamental laws of how a lens actually forms an image. And he even discovered a hard limit, set by the very nature of light itself, on how small a thing any microscope could ever hope to reveal. From that day on, Zeiss lenses were calculated on paper first and cut second. But even perfect calculations still needed perfect glass, and the glass of that era was wildly, hopelessly inconsistent. So a third person joined them, a gifted chemist who learned to manufacture optical glass to order, with properties you could finally rely on. And with that, the puzzle was complete. An entrepreneur, a physicist, and a chemist working together had turned optics from a craft into a genuine science. Now imagine Zeiss had taken the safe, ordinary path instead and simply kept hiring the finest craftsmen it could find, improving by trial and error like everybody else. Its rivals were already every bit as skilled. Without the theory, no workshop on Earth could reliably break new ground. Zeiss would have stayed a fine, respectable, and completely ordinary microscope maker, capped forever by the limits of the human hand and the human eye. That science first bet is the only reason it could, a century later, polish a mirror smooth enough to print a modern chip. And then the company did something almost stranger than the science itself. The physicist who had risen to become the owner decided that no single person should ever own this enterprise or be able to strip it for personal profit. So he placed the entire company into a foundation. And to this very day, Zeiss belongs, not to shareholders chasing a quick return, but to a foundation whose whole purpose is the work itself and the people who do it. That one decision let the company think in centuries instead of in quarters. It could pour money into deep research that might not pay off for decades. And that kind of patience is exactly the thing that compounds. 150 years of it slowly turned a tiny workshop into the invisible eye behind modern medicine, modern science, and modern manufacturing. It even survived things that by rights should have ended it completely. After the Second World War, the company was physically torn in two, its hometown split apart by the Iron Curtain, its people scattered across a divided Germany. And yet both halves survived, separately, for over 40 years, and when the wall finally came down, the two became a single company once again. The result: a firm you have never knowingly bought a thing from now sits quietly at the heart of things you truly cannot live without. The lens in your camera, the scanner that finds a tumor early enough to beat it, and the almost impossibly perfect optics that help print the chips inside every single device you own. All of it traces back to one moment when a workshop owner chose science over skill. Look back at the shape of the whole thing. Admit, honestly, that skill alone has hit its ceiling. Go and buy the science, even when it is painfully hard and painfully slow. Then protect the work itself from short-term greed. and then simply wait patiently for a century while it quietly compounds into something no rival can ever match. So here is the lesson worth keeping. When you are truly stuck, the answer is often not to try harder with the very same tools. It is to go one level deeper and truly understand the problem so that you can predict the answer instead of forever guessing at it. So ask yourself honestly, where in your own work are you still grinding away by trial and error when what you really need is to stop and go and learn the underlying science?